George stole a wealthy man's wallet, then threw it on the ground and told the man he'd dropped it. The wealthy man turned around and gave George a $100 bill in thanks. Unexpectedly, George immediately handed the money to Lisa, who was begging on the street. It turns out George was a vigilante thief who could crack any lock in seconds. This time, his target was a judge's home. However, he discovered the drawer was filled with photos of young men. He suspected the judge was hiding some important secret. George discovered a hidden room, peering through a crack. He was so frightened that his legs gave way and he collapsed. Just then, the judge returned home. George stealthily escaped from behind the judge, but the judge seemed to hear something. Fortunately, George cleverly lay flat on the ground and narrowly escaped detection. George was pale with fear because he had just seen someone covered in wounds inside that room. The next day, George immediately made an anonymous report to the police. But the location was too well hidden, and the police searched everywhere without finding anything. As a vigilante thief, George decided to investigate personally. That night, George secretly hid in the basement closet. After watching the judge enter the secret room, George grabbed the handiest weapon and charged in. But the next second, an awkward scene unfolded. The judge stared at George, completely bewildered. Then he knocked George unconscious and threw the body along with all the evidence into the incinerator. Lisa was deeply worried when George didn't come home for days. She sought help from George's friend Nick, hoping he could assist her. But Nick, thinking of his own children, flatly refused Lisa. Left with no choice, Lisa had to act alone for George's sake. One day, while the judge was out, she snuck into his house. But Lisa was quickly spotted by the judge, who tied her up in the basement. He then dragged out a corpse. It was the child Lisa had saved that day. The judge pulled out a chainsaw and explained to Lisa that men's bodies were larger, so they needed to be cut up before being put in the incinerator. She was small enough to be thrown in directly. Lisa was then thrown into the incinerator. Unable to contact Lisa, Nick went to her home and found uncollected mail piled on the floor. Sensing something was wrong, he smashed the glass and broke into the judge's house, only to discover no one had lived there for some time. After a while, Nick tracked down the judge's whereabouts. At night, he secretly infiltrated the judge's home. Nick grabbed a stick, ready to deal with the judge. Fortunately, Nick was young and strong and quickly overpowered the judge. Under the relentless blows, the judge confessed to all his crimes. This thrilling film is called I Was Here. What do you think? Does it sound good?